this over here so you can see it. I'm making made a little change. Every once in a while, we were getting YouTube to drop off, so I've made it's basically its own primary window that stays pretty much loaded. They're real close here for those of you that are coming to hang out with me tonight. Make sure you say hello. Hello, Rita, already. And Facebook, thanks for saying hi. Okay. This is Geek News Central. My name is Todd Cochran, coming to you from FEMA Region 5 in the new media production studio designed by Automute.com in Coldwater, Michigan. In the news today, in the show today, Florida protects you from insurance companies. A new Hong Kong security law driven by mainland China causes big tech changes here in the United States. Going to take you on a tour of a luxury nuclear fallout shelter. And we're going to talk about Elon Musk red short shorts. I don't want to welcome you to episode 1459 of the Geek News Central podcast for Monday, July 6th. This show is sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com and listeners just like you. Great deals from GoDaddy can be found at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. You can support this show today at geeknewscentral.com/insider. We want to give a warm welcome to all our brand new listeners. Make sure you get over to geeknewscentral.com. Get subscribed to the show. While you're over there, you can actually check out all the great content that my writers do. You can get subscribed to the newsletter when you're on the website as well. So just take a few seconds and do that and get over there and get subscribed, and you'll be connected here with Johanna, and you'll never miss a single episode. You can always join our chat room at geeknews.chat. That is a Mastodon chat server, or on Discord. Of course, you can contact me if you ever want to give a shout out or have comments about the show at geeknews@gmail.com, geeknews@gmail.com. Of course, you can reach me at Twitter at geeknews. You can follow me on Facebook by just searching for my name, Todd Cochran. Partner shows are all linked at geeknewscentral.com. Definitely give those a check as well. Most importantly, this show is sponsored by the longest running continuous sponsor of podcasts in the podcasting space, and that's our friends at GoDaddy.com. You can save big. You can save 30% on products and services over there just by using one of my promo codes. You get a domain name for $4.99. It's a great deal. A new or transfer domains for new customers only. Of course, you can get $1 a month economy hosting, $1 a month economy hosting for the first year with a free domain, $1 a month, and again, $12 to get you started. Or $1 a month managed WordPress hosting for the first year, again with a free domain. Again, these are the two best deals on podcast, or media hosting, website hosting, WordPress hosting that there is available in the ecosphere. So check those two out. And of course, if you're a business owner and you think about getting a free trial of GoDaddy website builder, your choice of personal business or business plus plans, that's a 1-month free trial. Definitely check that out. Get yourself online and revamp the site that you're currently on. And we want to thank GoDaddy for being a longtime sponsor here. Did get the message from them today on how we did performance-wise. It's been kind of even, Steven, so I definitely want to thank all of you for your ongoing support of the sponsor. We can always use more performance, but hey, I can't complain. You guys are continuing to turn to and drive trials and subscriptions and stuff over there that allows them to continue to sponsor this show. Hey, by the way, the last show that I did, some of you are watching live, and I pulled the plug. I pulled the plug about 23, 24 minutes into it. I think it's the first time that it has ever happened on this show. And I said, you guys go ahead and guess kind of what happened, but I'm sitting here and doing the show, and a bead of sweat started forming on my forehead. And my stomach started It's ready to rumble. And normally, in these kinds of situations, having spent many years flying and being able to, how should we say, work through that kind of discomfort, but this was headed towards disaster. I can laugh about it now, but I did about 3 articles, and I was getting ready to start the 4th, and I'm just thinking in my mind, there's no way I'm getting through this 4th or 5th article. I got 10 to go. It's not happening. And so I hit the kill switch on everything just about as fast as I could. And I left those that were watching live hanging. So believe me, I did not do that on purpose. And but it was otherwise, it wouldn't have been pretty. So anyway, that's that's what happened on the last live show. So I re-uploaded after I had edited. Yes, I had to edit the last show and uploaded the recorded version of the show. So here in Michigan, 105 degrees. I had my car parked. I went out to get some dinner before the show, and yes, 105 degrees in the shade. It's cooled off a little bit here. When I just looked at the outside thermometer here at the studio, it was 97 degrees at essentially 7 p.m. So we have us a heat wave going on. And they've actually set some warnings out, which is kind of, I guess that happens. It's the first time for me here in Michigan. But there was no new media show on Saturday because that was the 4th. But my 3-day weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, was, in a word, probably the most kickback I'd had. I went grocery shopping on Friday and did some few errands. But Saturday and Sunday, fireworks, hamburgers, the pool, YouTube, a few cocktails, not too many, but it was just chill, and it was fantastic. It really, really, really was. Hey, Kurt, thanks. I'm glad you love the haircut. I didn't actually shave it today, so it's got one days of stubble on it, including my face. So not that you can probably see that, but anyway, awesome. All right, let us continue with the show. I've got a good stack of stuff. Kurt was coming off some people. My sister was talking to me today. She says, "You're working?" And I'm like, yeah. She goes, "Oh, many companies give their employees a 4-day weekend." And I'm like, really? Not mine. But I'll take it under advisement. I wouldn't have minded another day off. But to be quite frank, the 3 days I had off, and I took 2 full days off and didn't look at my computer email at all, was luxurious. It really, really was. It was nice. But today, I know Kirk put a bunch of stuff together, but I found an article that he missed, and that doesn't happen very often. But I think this is big. And for those of you who live in Florida, we've been talking about these DNA tests for a while. You go over and you take one at Ancestry.com or a variety of different places. And we already know that paternity is being determined by people that are taking these DNA tests and all these other tests that are not necessarily the DNA test, but all these other tests people are taking. And all of a sudden, the insurance companies, who largely have access to this data, to this genetic data, is starting to use this against you. And Florida has become the first state to enact DNA privacy law, blocking insurers from this genetic data. Governor Ron DeSantis signed the House Bill 1189, sponsored by Representative Chris Sprouse, a Republican out of Palm Harbor in Florida. It extends federal prohibitions against health insurance providers accessing results from DNA tests, such as those offered by 23andMe or Ancestry DNA. Again, a lot of people have found out that they got brothers and sisters that they did not know they had, lots of potential divorces because all of a sudden there isn't a match between mom and dad, and there's lots of crazy stuff that's happened here. So Sprouse, the House Speaker designate, called the legislation a major victory for Floridians. They'll make Florida the leader in the nation protecting our residents and our citizens' genetic information. And here, listen, this is the most important part. Here's a House and Senate that got something done that was truly bipartisan. House 110-0, and the Senate 35-3 in favor of this legislation. This should be legislation that goes nationwide, immediately, should be adopted by every state in the country. Insurers argued that information gleaned from genetic testing, such as persons' medical predispositions, could lower insurance premiums across the board. Okay, but the same rationale could be used to raise rates. Let's just say that you have a predisposition for Alzheimer's, Parkinson's disease, whatever else they can find out. So for those of you that have already taken one of these tests and you live in the state of Florida, you might already have had your data sold. Sprouse, a cancer survivor, discovered the massive loophole that could be exploited by insurers while on hold during a phone call to a life insurance company in 2017. And the dead air was filled with commercials from DNA testing companies, he said. Individuals can still volunteer your genetic information from third-party tests to insurers. So if you do have a positive genetic information and you know how to have that read and analyzed, you can still volunteer that for you. Now, probably what will happen here is that those that don't will probably pay a little higher premium. But it won't stop you from being restricted or not allowed to buy insurance. And I keep telling people that are willing to listen, when you're buying alcohol, cigarettes, cigars, any type of smoking paraphernalia, be cutters, lighters, anything like that that can prove that an insurance company can trigger to know that you might be smoking, you should pay for that stuff in cash when possible. Because they are buying this consumer data and tying it to you and putting a risk category on you when it comes to insurance policy. Now, technically, you are supposed to disclose when you sign up from certain insurance policies whether or not you smoke. But let's say you haven't smoked in a year and you say, I don't smoke. At the time, you said, I don't smoke, or I haven't smoked within a certain amount of time. So what's good here in Florida is that the federal prohibition also now applies to long-term care, life, and disability insurers. And genetic privacy will likely remain on lawmakers' agendas in the coming years as direct-to-consumer testing gain in popularity. So, again, among concerns, additionally, that lawmakers may address is revelations. Several Florida condo associations, listen to this, several Florida condo associations require prospective residents to submit DNA test results showing they don't have a genetic predisposition to Alzheimer's, which is legal everywhere but California. So you can actually get ready to buy a condo, and the condo association can turn down your ability to buy a house or buy a condo because you have a positive genetic predisposition for Alzheimer's. What do you think about that? Every place can do this except for California. So these lawmakers are going to have to look at this law and see if it's good enough. Despite the legislation, if DNA test results end up in a person's health records, insurance providers legally can access it. Although the federal 2008 Genetic Non-Discrimination Act prohibits them from using that information to deny coverage or increase rates, quote unquote. So we're not completely covered here. Now, being had in the Navy, they dab my blood and my DNA is on file with the federal government. And, so it goes into a database, and I'm sure that will be hacked someday. And my DNA, along with all my other personal information that's already been hacked, will be out there. But that DNA that the Navy took from me can be used to cross-match me to crimes or any other thing that's going on. Not that I'm out there doing that. But if I do, then I know very well my DNA is on file with U.S. government. They collect DNA evidence, and you're done. And so anyway, this DNA thing, you can run, but you can't hide. But at least from the insurance companies, you can prevent them from looking at some of this stuff. And of course, if someone comes with a warrant, they can, swab your throat and get a DNA sample forcefully if they need to. Let's talk a little bit about Hong Kong. And I happen to find, it's kind of interesting. I had no idea this article was popping today, but maybe it was because of what was trending. I was watching a YouTuber who was a guy from South Africa. He'd been in mainland China for 13 or 14 years. Very popular YouTuber over there. One of the first YouTubers in China. Married to a Chinese national. Has a child. And he applied for a visa to come to the United States. And at some point that was approved. His wife and his child and him moved to the United States. He's getting a green card. Did it the legal way to get into the country. But he wanted out of China because he had been rolled up a couple of times by the Chinese officials and questioned and asked questions. And anytime he went to Hong Kong and came back, he had to check in with the police and this ongoing dilemma. And he's talking about China in his YouTube videos. And he had to self-censor himself to the point that it was almost not worth doing the show because he could never cross into commentary about criticizing the police, criticizing the government, criticizing anyone in any type of official function. You had to be very, very careful because they roll people up for simple things like making a joke, just joking about a leader. The stuff that goes on with President Trump, half the country would be arrested and sent to the gulag in China for making a joke about their chairman over there, Xing, whatever his name is, and Xi, whatever. Okay, so he got to the point where he was just afraid almost to do content. So we have to realize, and if you think people that listen to the show fully understand it, that freedom of speech is something that we hold very dear in this country. And it's another wake-up call that, and personally, I don't think I could ever travel to China. I've talked so much bunk about China on this show. My prior military career and things that I did, there's just too much risk to me even consider going over there. And even though this is long ago, it still, I know that about the second my passport would be swiped in the country, I would have people follow me around, even though that I work in the podcasting space. Probably now because I work in the podcasting space and probably because I do a show and I've been outspoken. I'm on their watch list. So there'd be no way that I would ever go over there and get a camera out and start doing content. There's no way. There's no way. Wouldn't even consider it. And you also have to take into effect that if you go to a foreign country, you're in their country under their rules. You have to, and it's not the same as being in the United States. So now this new Hong Kong security law is in effect as of July 1st. And Google and Facebook and Twitter have halted government data requests. The companies are reviewing this security law, which gives China power to stifle dissent. You have to, everyone wants to bash the American system, and yet people are unwilling to even talk about the injustices that happen in many countries. We could do a whole segment on different parts of the world, and there's no place like America, no matter what. Probably the closest is Canada and a few other countries that have, very open societies. I'm not saying that we are alone in this regard, but the United States is pretty unique. So the companies are reviewing this new security law that gives China power to stifle dissent. So what is Google going to do? So when the law took effect, we paused production of any new data requests from Hong Kong authorities, a Google spokesperson told The Verge, and will continue to review the details of the new law. Twitter also halted its handling of government requests as of July 1st, with Facebook announcing its pause on Monday. Social media platforms typically produce private user information in response to a valid court order, depending on the legal process in various countries. But under this new position, all companies will at least temporarily ignore the request coming from the government of Hong Kong. So, what are they trying to do in Hong Kong? This is a policy that, in response to China's new national security law, which was first proposed in May, that we talked about on the show, where now Hong Kong no longer enjoys independence from mainland China. They do to an extent, but the Central Chinese government has tight restrictions on speech. And they want to bring a gradual end to the one country, two system principle. And we've seen widespread protests across Hong Kong. Well, now, the social media vehicle that they have used to promote and organize and do everything to try to protest the Chinese government is going to be stifled because Hong Kong can now say, give me this person's name. And that person will silently disappear, and their families will as well. And they'll be sent off to a re-education camp. In 10 years, they will come back a shell of them former selves. And they will take what the Chinese government considers to be subversive activities, and they will squash it. Now, we know Google, Facebook, and Twitter have been banned in China for several years. Is this going to happen now in Hong Kong? So we'll see what Facebook, Google, and Twitter does. My expectation is this is what's going to happen in Hong Kong. If Google, Facebook, Twitter, and the other social media companies uphold the right of people to have their expression heard, and freedom of expression and speech is fundamental. If they truly do this, then it will not be long before Facebook will be banned, Twitter will be banned, Google will be banned in Hong Kong and added to the Great Firewall. This is one of the reasons why those that are rich and can afford it are getting out of Hong Kong en masse. Companies are leaving. The rich and wealthy are going to escape, and what will happen is the general populace will go underneath complete Chinese control. And I bet you this will happen in under 5 years. So we'll see what happens here. So while we celebrate the 4th of July and America's independence, and while we have protests in the streets, I don't talk bad about protests. Never will. I do disagree with violence and some of the other things that have been happening. And, but yet, this is America, and what we have is a good thing. Now, if you think the country and the world is going sideways, and you have a cool $1 million laying aside, and if you have an additional $2,500 a month in maintenance costs, you too can buy an apartment in a doomsday bunker in Kansas. And actually, they're going to be building a second one. And the second one will be available sometime next year to start buying. So if you want to go in a luxury nuclear bunker, if you are mega rich and you want to be buried during the apocalypse, well, they have got a deal for you. And I'm not going to go too deep into this, but there is a great 15-minute video that shows this thing. Be frank with you. These bunkers are awesome. But I would have to examine the engineering, the supplies. I'd have to have rest assurances that if I was rich, mega rich, and can afford $1 million and the $2,500 a month upkeep, that if I need to retreat with my family to this thing, that this thing would actually hold me for 3 to 5 years in case things really went sideways. What will really happen, it'll be like the zombie apocalypse. What will happen is that these locations will be sought out, and I guarantee you, these people will be dug out because, unless they have massive security around this thing, you get enough people wanting in, they're going to get in. With dynamite and explosives, it may take a while, but they may blow themselves in. So I would want to know how they're going to protect the perimeter when the poop hits the fan. Jody, no, I don't think there'll be a second civil war. I think there's a higher possibility of the Chinese throwing nukes at us than that. So no, I don't think there will be a second civil war. Don't think it'll happen. But half the country's armed up at this point. People have bought guns and ammunition that had never bought guns and ammunition before. So it'll be ugly if anything ever does happen. That's for sure. But anyway, you guys can see the luxury nuclear bunker protecting the mega rich from the apocalypse. Now, the key is, can they get there? When the flag goes up, can they actually get to the bunker? If they're in New York City or some other place, they got to cross the country to get to this thing. So the key is they got to get there early enough to get in it before the flag goes up, right? It's not worth having a bunker if you can't get to it. If the roads are congested, if there's riots, if there's civil, you got to get from your house to this thing. And they don't talk about, well, I'm sure they have contingencies where these mega rich can fly their jets into potentially. But you got to be able to get to this thing to use it, to cash your chips in your investment. Now, Elon Musk, he's having a little fun over the weekend. He revealed the $69.42 Tesla shorts, and they're already sold out. So a little bit of tongue in cheek here. 420, we all know what that refers to. The 69.420 is really kind of is kind of a kickback. The price of shorts is likely a reference to, well, of course, the green stuff, but also the $420 share price. The Tesla CEO suggested in 2018 tweet when he considered to take the company private, which he got in trouble by the U.S. Securities Exchange Commission. And Tesla sells a range of clothes and accessories, including a $600 Tesla Model S for kids. But he was basically kind of making a jab at all the investors that shorted Tesla, and a lot did. And those that shorted Tesla lost a lot of money because the Tesla stock is way up. So a little bit of fun by the Tesla CEO. So, if you're not happy with Earth, there's always Mars. So there's a competition that happened. A 3D printed habitat could be your new home in space. So you've made the months of long journey to Mars. You don't have anywhere to leave. One company's vision for Martian habitat hopes to bring the familiar touches of home to the red planet. And I'm looking at this thing that they have designed called Marsha, the 3D printed Mars habitat. They did print out a 1/5 scale of this. And basically, it's a machine that uses Martian rocks and other things and walks around the habitat and basically prints you a home. And they're tempting to imagine humans living on Mars one day. But this is a competition that happened. The egg shape was designed by New York-based architecture firm AI Space Factory in response to NASA's 3D printed habitat challenge. Oh, it's a 1/3 scale replica of the habitat here on Earth. And we don't see a picture of the one that they printed. But it is kind of cool, the design that they came up with. And see if I can get the paged update. I can show you all this. It's basically a pod. And with places to live, sleep, all the stuff that goes in the exercise room. Looks pretty big. And anyway, that's their mock-up of this thing. And it's pretty cool. So anyway, maybe when I'm dead and gone in 100 years from now, maybe this will be a reality. And my kids' can relocate to Mars. Also, a NASA astronaut captured a rare view of a bright comet Neowise from the International Space Station. A cosmonaut snapped a gorgeous ISS photo. And I'm looking at this and I'm kind of like, okay, this is exciting. But they did get a picture of it. So you can see it there with the little red round dot. Link will be up in the show notes. It still looks a long ways away, which it is. But anyway, that's a first from the International Space Station. AT&T has updated its first responder offer to include teachers, nurses, and physicians. So if you are a first responder, specifically a teacher, nurse, or a physician, you are now eligible for a 25% monthly discount. So the new update, which goes into effect July 10th, is it's a huge discount for their unlimited plans known as Unlimited Starter, Extra, and Elite. The discount would attend to the entire family plan, not just a single line for teacher, a single line for the teacher, nurse, or physician. So might be a good deal if you're an AT&T customer to take a look at that. I know my sister's kids were all big about this. They were wanting to see Hamilton. Hamilton bumps Disney Plus mobile app downloads 72%. Hamilton dropped Friday, and it's the most highly anticipated brand new title to hit the streaming service since the coronavirus lockdown. And so they had a huge jump, but about 513,000 mobile downloads globally and 266,000 here in the United States. So did you have kids that wanted to see the musical Hamilton or not? A little bit of controversy, of course, about the Hamilton, but it is a good musical. NASA's Curiosity rover starts epic summer road trip across Mars. Get in the rover, kids. We're going to the sulfate bearing unit. We're going to go 5 kilometers. Oh, excuse me. 3 mile. Is it? I thought I read 5. I'm totally blew it here. I had the wrap up pitch and a strikeout. So yeah, they're by the end of the trip, it will be able to send the next section of the 3 mile tall Martian mountain. It's been exploring since 2014. So they're on the way up to the sulfate area that they want to go explore. So pretty exciting stuff. Still activity on Mars. We're still moving around. Congratulations to Chrome. It becomes the 3rd browser ever with more than 70% of global market share. Basically, Google Chrome joined the ranks of Netscape Navigator and Microsoft's Internet Explorer, both of which once dominated the browser landscape. Remember the days of holy cow! Remember Netscape? Wow, that goes way back. I don't think I've ever was a big user of any Microsoft browser, many years. So yeah, Netscape Navigator. My God, how long has Firefox been around? Firefox has been around for a while as well. I think Netscape Navigator was transitioned to Firefox. I can't remember, but anyway, so wow. Congratulations to if anybody can do it, Google can, right? A South Korean drone display reminds watchers to wash hands and wear masks. So it's a cute little picture they put up in the sky. And male, female with a mask. And so it's a light show ended with the message, "Cheer up, Republic of Korea." So again, drone display reminds watchers to wash hands and wear masks. Sennheiser, this is I have a mixed feeling on this. The Paycheck Protection Program got a lot of companies through this pandemic. Gave them the legs to kind of cross over. And I'm seeing lots of articles come out on who took money and the amount, which is fine. It's public data. I just wonder, though, I've been looking at these articles to see if there's a spin. And Sennheiser got some money to retain 128 employees. And it goes on, and there's other articles today that's basically listing companies by name. So I don't know. I don't know what I think about this, to be honest with you. It's you have to show accounting and do everything. You have to show everything you did, how you used the money. And I don't think a lot of companies would have survived without it. So I don't know. What do you guys feel about companies being announced who took PPP? A researcher bought an Axon, AXON camera on eBay. And what an Axon camera is a body cam, police body cam. Well, it turns out I'm going to destroy this name, Hachawa Military Police apparently sold some of their cameras. I don't know how that happened, because if that's a federal agency, which I'm assuming it is, this type of stuff would normally go into a what's called DRMO and would be sold, but these were found and bought on eBay. Okay, I'm raising my eyebrows because it doesn't sound like the normal way a federal, and I'm assuming this is a federal because it's a military police group. It's not the normal way this type of equipment would be disposed of. So someone might be in trouble just for this, because anything that your taxpayer dollars buy is then sent to DRMO, and DRMO basically evaluates those items. They demilitarize, they erase hard drives. Matter of fact, you won't get a hard drive ever from anything sold by DRMO. They're all scrapped, smashed, and demagnetized and everything. You're not going to get memory sticks. If you buy a computer that's in a DRMO sale, it will be gutted of anything that can store any type of memory. So the DRMO would take out SD cards, all this stuff, and that's what they do. Because they don't want happening what has happened. This Axon body camera that was sold on eBay, the camera still contained their micro SD storage cards. And contained on those storage cards were a bunch of recordings, include audio, that hadn't been wiped before they were sold. Lots of audio media files. And no one seems to know how the cameras ended up on eBay. I bet you they're going to find out. And what's more amazing is the media files were not encrypted, or password protected, which is possible is part of the Axon setting. So leave it to somebody to have initially bought these, used them, and not secured them. The cameras were first-generation models produced in 2015. So the question is, 2015, that's only 5 years, and they were still operational. Why were they sold? So, big questions here. And someone is going to get in trouble. That's my bet. And the dummy would have been all good had they not forgot to take the SD cards out. So were these stolen, or what's the word? I'm missing what you guys are saying in chat here. You've said some stuff. Oh, Brad, hey, 35th wedding anniversary, and I'm watching Geek News Central. Hey, you're going to get in trouble with the missus on that. So congratulations, Brad. Make 35 years. That's quite an accomplishment. Google Plus is officially gone after its mobile apps are rebranded as Google Currents. So Google Plus is gone. A Yahoo engineer has received no jail time after hacking 6,000 accounts to look for what else? Porn. He's been sentenced to 5 years probation with home confinement conditions. Reyes Daniel Ruiz, 34 of Tracy, California, will only be allowed to leave his home for work, religious activities, medical appointments, or court-related obligation. The judge also ordered him to pay $5,000 fine and $118,000 in restitution to Yahoo, now Oath, according to court documents obtained by ZDNet. He committed these crimes while he's worked at Yahoo as a reliability engineer between 2009 and 2019. He uses access to the Yahoo backend to obtain access to hashed passwords, then proceed to crack those password strings to access Yahoo mail accounts of younger women, including personal friends and work colleagues. And then once he gained access to the account, he searched for explicit images and videos, which he downloaded and stored on a personal hard drive. He also said he hacked Yahoo email accounts to compromise victims' profiles at other third-party services where the victim used Yahoo email address to register accounts and store personal files. He is believed to have hacked an additional 100 accounts at services like Apple iCloud, Gmail, Hotmail, Dropbox, and PhotoBucket. His hacking spree was detected by another Yahoo engineer in 2018 and later reported to authorities. And he destroyed his personal hard drive to try to cover up the evidence. And the FBI searched his home a month later. And so they don't know what all he got. But because he destroyed his personal hard drive, the prosecutor said they only managed to identify 3,137 of the estimated 6,000 total victims. And he received a lenient sentence due his cooperation. but he collected about 2 terabyte of data and to be believed between 1,000 and 4,000 private images and videos. And he didn't get no jail time. A Ubisoft VP has resigned following assault and misconduct allegations. Long-term employee, too. He's been there for 20 years. He worked on the original Assassin's Creed, Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell, Blacklist, and Far Cry 4, among other games. But they went through and cleaned house. They fired a bunch of people over there. So, workplace misconduct. I caught up with this guy. They'd been there for 20 years. In the cryptocurrency and blockchain, more than 50 companies took PPP and at least 18 million payroll loans from the U.S. government. So that's being reported. Clearview, this is out of Canada. Clearview AI ceases offering its facial recognition technology in Canada. Clearview AI has advised Canadian privacy protection authorities that in response to their joint investigation will cease offering its facial recognition services in Canada. The steps include indefinite suspension of Clear AI's contract with the RCMP, which was its last remaining client in Canada. And an ongoing investigation by authorities is the deletion of personal information of Canadians that Clearview has already collected, as well as the cessation of Clearview's collection of Canadian personal information. So, anyway, so a little bit going on there. The Supreme Court has ruled against the law allowing debt collectors to use robocalls to cell phones. Now, this was a specific provision that was allowed. This provision was enacted in 2015 that allowed robocalls on U.S.-backed debt. So if you had a student loan, you had a home mortgage, past taxes, they could use a robocall system through what was an amendment of the TCPA of 1991. They were allowed to call you and harass you with robocalls. Now, they can still call you and try to collect, but they can't use, as of this ruling, they can no longer use robocalls to call you every 15 minutes and ask you to pay your student loan. They're going to have to use a human to do that. So it's probably a win for people that have gotten harassed. Uber today has agreed to buy food delivery service Postmates for $2.65 billion in stock. So this is a big acquisition. We know that Uber had attempted to acquire Grubhub last month, but talks failed. Uber's deal for Postmates will likely draw less regulatory scrutiny than an acquisition of Grubhub's because they're smaller. So the deal brings together the fourth largest U.S. food delivery service with Uber Eats, which trails only DoorDash in market share according to Second Measure and Edison Trends. So none of those services are available here where I live. There's no Postmates. There's no Uber Eats. There's none of that. Grubhub is none, zero. There's none of that in a little small city I live in. I think I've seen one Uber driver out. Also, a bunch of mobile news. July 2020, Android security patch arrives with the usual bug fixes. So you'll be looking for some updates if you have an Android device, as well as there's a good review of the best Motorola phones in 2020 if you love the Motorola brand. There's also a good article about how to fix audio problems on your personal computer, on your Windows machine. So if you have no sound, I've run into that with even Macs. All of a sudden it just doesn't want to play. I've run into that with my iPhone as well, where it's, playing a YouTube video and it's usually something to do with earbuds or some weird thing that's going on. And, but if you've had trouble with listening to audio on your PC, there's a good troubleshooting matrix. There's also, along with that article, from a different company. Oh, that was weird. Didn't put my phone on airplane mode before I started the show. But it's cool. I could decline it right here on the PC. That is one thing that I don't have to have the phone in my hand to decline calls. Nine fixes for when a movie has no sound. And this again goes back to connections. And this is if you're trying to play it on your computer, play it on your play across to your television. Lots of different ways. It talks about just basic troubleshooting stuff. So again, a good reference article if you ever have problems in the future. Also, some essential email security tips. Just going over some good stuff that you should already know about two-factor authentication. Watching out about links in email and unsolicited attachments and all that stuff. So just general good knowledge stuff. Samsung has got a new foldable phone. It's going to be called the Galaxy Z Fold 2, and it's a follow-up to the Galaxy Fold, and will reportedly get a small name tweak. So, any of you own one of those foldable phones? I don't think we have. No listeners ever said they had one of these. So, all right, last couple articles here tonight. Okay, I'll accept your cookie. India's TikTok shutdown has left careers and fortunes in tatters. TikTok built an influencer base of over 1 million people in India in less than 2 years now. Now it's crumbling down. On the evening of June 29th, 23-year-old Prem Vats had almost finished uploading the latest TikTok video of him dancing to a happy Bollywood tune when the news broke that India was banning dozens of Chinese apps. He was at a friend's place in the outskirts of New Delhi when he received a call from another friend who'd already seen the news, and he saw shock. He said it was almost seemed unreal. He immediately contacted TikTok to check if the news was true. This month, Vats had carefully built his following in the last 3 years to more than 10 million followers, but now he's stuck at 9.5 million. And less than 24 hours after the announcement, the app stopped working, and no more money for him. They were making between $2,000 and $2,700 a month. And at a bad month, it was go as low as $670. And some of the influencers in India were making between $4,000 and $5,300. That's big money in India. So, the ban came amidst a geopolitical crisis. Once again, never build your fortune, your brand, your media, your influencing on someone else's platform. Because it can be taken away, just as it has been by these folks in an instant. The government's pissed. The government says we're not going to allow TikTok. We're going to punish China and Chinese companies. Whether it was ill-advised or a good move by India, that's up for another discussion. But lots of people now are like, how am I going to make a living? How am I going to pay my rent? They built their career, built their monetization on someone else's land, and they're left hanging. I feel bad for them, but it's a valuable lesson a lot of YouTubers have already learned as well. All right, final article tonight, and it's one from the New York Times. I guess I haven't used my 5 views for the month, but they're asking, can an algorithm predict the pandemic's next move? Researchers have developed a model that uses social media and search data to forecast outbreaks of COVID-19. So they've been able to look at data from a variety of apps by monitoring of Twitter and Google searches and mobility data from smartphones and other data streams. And it functions as a thermostat in the cooling or heating system to give intermittent activation and relaxation of public health interventions. So they're learning from what you do online to understand what's going on with COVID-19 and where the trends are. So we know a while ago, the Google flu trends algorithm performed very poorly. This was before. It continually overestimated doctor visits. Later evaluations found because of limitation of the data and the influence of outside factors such as media attention and so forth. Since then, researchers have made multiple adjustments to this approach, combining Google searches with other kinds of data. Teams at Carnegie Mellon University, University College of London, and University of Texas, among others, have models incorporating some real-time data analysis. In a new paper, the team analyzed real-time data from 4 sources, in addition to Google: COVID-related Twitter posts, geotagged location, doctor searches on physical physicians' platforms called UpToDate, anonymous mobility data from smartphones, and readings from the Kinza Smart Thermometer, which uploads to an app. Yes, some of those things that you're submitting your temperature to an app is being tracked. And they were able to come up with some information. It correlates what happens. Looking ahead, they predict Nebraska and New Hampshire are likely to see cases increasing in the coming weeks if no future measures are taken. So let's put that in the book and see if they're right. But anyway, they don't need to put COVID on our app, a COVID tracking app. They're just using everything else that we do, that we've made public available through all these variety of sites and systems that we've used. All right, everybody, this is going to wrap me up for the day. I don't know if I had any emails come in. Let me look at that real quick. My email has been out. I literally had 800 emails in my geeknews@gmail.com email address this morning. I had almost cleared it, and I'm back up to 139. So let me look here. No emails have come in. So yeah, it's insane. It's absolutely insane the amount of emails that I'm getting. It's crazy, and a big percentage of it is junk. And now it's like freaking out and updating. Oh, I got my electric bill. How much was it? Oh, not bad. Oh, it cracks me up. All right, everyone. We're going to get out of here, and I want to thank you all for being part of the family here. And if you have comments on today's show, and if you notice, I've been advertising for the Podcast Insider on the screen for those of you watching. If you're thinking about it, if you're thinking it's time for you to join the podcasting family, you can use my promo code Geek News to get a 30-day free trial at blueberry.com. Geek News is your ability to get a 30-day free trial at Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com. Sign up for podcast hosting. We got everything you need there to start a podcast. And again, 30 days free service. Geek News is the promo code. If you want to check it out. Everyone, thanks for being here. We'll see you next time. My name is Todd Cochran. geeknews@gmail.com is the email address to feed your comment back. Thank you for all the insiders that continue to contribute to the show. We definitely appreciate you very, very much. Everyone, take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.